Fascinating topic, Stephen. Fascinating. I love your writing. I think you're doing a really great job here setting yourself up. There's a couple of things I want to address here. If you've looked through this forum, I'm really, really hammering 2 points home, and I think those 2 points to a very, very high degree as related to the course outcomes and the learning objectives associated with this class. I think to a very high degree the success of this project is going to be determined by two factors. Number one is your ability to effectively and accurately define your target audience, and B, your call to action. Let me address those in order. Okay, your target audience has got to be defined to the nth degree. Okay, now let me give you an example. Okay, so if we're going to do an infographic on, and I'm just going to use Paris as an example. Okay, she's talking about Google. Okay, and using some statistics there. So it doesn't matter. Okay, it doesn't matter what the infographic is trying to say. The target audience is not all people who use Google, right? Because Google's used all over the globe. All right, it's used by young, old. It's used by all sorts of different societies and cultural backgrounds, et cetera, different language. It's just intent. The target that the folks that use Google are, I mean, wow. It's just you can't say my target audience is everyone that uses Google. And Paris, I'm not picking on you if you're watching along. Okay, I'm just using your example as an example for Stephen. Okay, so and what I'm saying is that we need to define that target audience, okay? Because we need to communicate with the target audience. There's no way we're going to communicate with the entirety of Google users. That's just impossible. So what we need to do is, in your situation here, we need to decide who we're talking to, and that's important because it will drive your design decisions. Okay, in terms of everything from color use to font use to layout decisions, page mechanics, etc., the assembly and presentation of graphics to reinforce your statistical data. Okay, so we really want to define that target audience. Okay, the next thing is what do you want the viewer, what's the takeaway here? What's your call to action? What is the one sentence that you can formulate that is going to describe what you want the viewer to do once they read through once they are privy to the information that you're presenting? What do you want them to do? What are you trying to accomplish with the infographic? Okay, those two things, as I said, as you can think about it, sit back and think about those two things, and you can really start to see that those two factors are probably the most important factors associated with any infographic. Now, I know there's plenty that will say there's other things that are more important, but when you really think about it, those, from a design standpoint and a communication standpoint, those are the two most critical elements of any infographic. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to determine exactly who your target is, and I want you to determine exactly what you want them to do with the information once they gather it. Now, the difference between presenting information and data visualization is that presenting is just saying, okay, if you were to approach this and say, okay, this is how many people are on Medicaid, this is how many people are on SSI, this is how many people are on unemployment, this is how much it costs, this is how it affects local economies, this is how, et cetera, right? But what do you want what ultimately are you trying to accomplish? All right, so really think about that and try to address those two situations in your final presentation due Sunday. The other thing I want to say is there's something here that is a little unclear to me, and I think that you alluded to this earlier in your writing, but this right here, this shows a fascinating statistic of people voting against their own interests. But you proceed that by saying that the information highlight the actual demographics users of these programs as well as tax money allocated for each. Using census data gathered by the United States government funds, these results be surprising. I have found that states with the highest level of poverty, which directly correlates to the highest participation in the system, have the lowest percentage of minorities. Wait a second. I have found that states with the highest level of poverty have the lowest percentage of minorities. Are you sure about that? That I am not challenging your findings. I'm just saying that doesn't sound, it seems to me like the reverse of that would be true, right? So states with the highest level of poverty would have more minorities, right? That makes sense. I mean, it doesn't make sense to say that the states with highest level of poverty have the lowest percentage of minorities. It makes sense that the states with the highest level of poverty, again, I found that the states with the highest level of poverty, okay, have the highest percentage of Republican voters. Again, I'm not arguing your findings. I'm just not sure if that's true. And again, I am not challenging your findings at all. I'm just trying to make sense of this. And then this shows a fascinating statistic of people voting against their own interests. I'm not making that connection. Perhaps you can describe that in your final, but I'm not making this connection. Now, this right here is really muddy to me. This writing right here, really muddy to me. Can you clear that up in your final? I think it would really, really help. Okay, so 3 things. This seems to be your key statement from your writing, so let's clarify that to the nth degree. Let's define our target audience to the nth degree, and let's formulate a solid call to action. What do you want to accomplish? What do you want the viewer to do with the information? Okay. All right. So if you have any questions at all, Stephen, please let me know. But this is a fantastic start. Thank you very much. Good read. Thank you.